Right. We need to settle on a map.
Yeah.
So we would place that on one of our future agendas.
Or, I mean, it is part of zoning, so you can include it in this package.
So so here's my thing, should the zoning ordinance be, should we go through the zoning ordinance and revise that prior to putting the map together, because it could change if we don't.
There isn't a map in the zoning ordinance?
No,
Oh.
there's not.
It references the map in the zoning ordinance and says that you're going to make sure that it is correct. And you do, there is a change you would have to make, because you guys now don't have R1 and R2, you just have R,
Yeah,
I think.
Residential, yeah.
So you would, when you looked at the zoning map, it is important that when you pass this, that matches. So as you're moving this to the next step, you need to say, all of our R1 and R2 are now RR. We need to make that change to the map. And maybe we don't want to extend the overlay for as far, because that's what I've been hearing from people. I
Right.
don't know, that's up to you guys.
what was 388 overlay?
Yeah, I don't really care, but that's what I've heard from people. So I'm just.
Meaning the commercial district.
Yeah. So, anyway, here or there, my point is, you need to look at it, it needs to be part of this as it goes forward.
Oh,
So that's something you guys have to discuss.
So maybe we can do that in our February meeting, is look at the map and make sure the map is
I would-
aligning with.
Also suggest, because you need to start moving things forward a little bit, if we're not making a lot of changes tonight, if you're only making a couple, then I personally suggest you guys have one more meeting at the end of this month, because otherwise you're moving into, you know, we're pushing it further out.
Right.
So you can approve it to move forward.
so I thought that we had, but we haven't voted on our meeting schedule for this year.
Right.
I was just assuming that our meeting was the last
Because
Thursday.
we had talked about that
Right.
at our last
It
one,
was
and I
what
thought
we had
that's what we had
voted on.
changed it to.
Yeah,
But we have to
had,
make it for
but
this year.
every year you have to do a calendar, you have to have your officers, you have to have your,
Right.
so, so we need to close the public hearing to start on that.
Yeah, so I would just double check and make sure you don't have any further public comment.
Okay, are there any further public comments?
Were there any communications received?
Yeah, did we receive anything?
I did not receive.
I did not
anything.
receive.
I didn't either. And I
Other than
checked my
what I
email.
told you on the phone call, that's all I know.
Beth gonna be here tonight? Is Beth coming tonight?
Beth was planning on coming tonight, and I'm wondering if she also thinks that it's at 7. So-
I knew it was at 6, I was just running late.
Okay, so you want to do one last call for comments then?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
then I'm gonna go ahead and close it.
Okay.
I'm closing the public hearing January 12th at 6:23 PM.
Okay.
It's done. Done.
All right, he doesn't have one now.
I don't, well, I don't, no, I think everybody does now. Thank you, and this is the one that has all the changes on it that have been made so far.
Yes. And remember that you would still have until the moment you say this is moving forward to, again, there's a couple things in here still that you guys
There
want
is.
to adjust, yeah. Just, the only thing I would caution you on, and in saying that, I'm actually gonna hand you something else. The only thing I would caution you on is changing intent at this phase will mean that the township board has to hold a public hearing. However, the township board is asking you guys to include something else, and I'll explain why in just a minute. So that means we will have to hold a public hearing anyway.
Wait, if the township board is asking us, and I'm on the township board, how come I am just hearing about this?
Oh,
But we didn't,
we're not gonna do the police ordinance, it needs to be in the zoning ordinance.
okay, well, I don't feel like we can move on it tonight.
Yeah, I think we should need to have everybody here.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so,
We'll talk about more when you get to,
so this is going to be part of the zoning, all right.
Nice.
we'll talk about it when we get more to the old business, but I just wanted. Just for level setting on what the process is moving forward, you guys still have the opportunity to make some edits before you send it forward. And then
Why did we decide to You and
think
Kevin
all
decided
the way it fell down.
I'll explain when we get there.
Okay.
So this is a lot, it's a lengthy process to get this all the way through. I have to put it all in an email once for all of you guys so you'd understand.
Mhm.
So the goal is to get something that we can move forward with now. And then you guys will start another cycle. So you'll keep looking at it in the hopes that by the time we get through the 6 months of administrative bureaucracy, that then you guys will have the next
The
version.
board might be able to push it faster.
No,
No,
no. That the next
6 months.
there's more stuff that goes into it that it's not just the board. So, anyway, my point is, by the time you get to the end of that, hopefully you'll have the next iteration ready.
You
for
like
us to
reads
do
it, I pass it all in one.
That's not, yeah,
Change all the zoning everywhere.
you have to, so we have to,
I know we're trying to do things legal.
right, we have to notify the county planning commission and allow them time to respond. to it. We
Right.
have to notify our neighboring communities and allow them time to respond to it. We need to have the attorney review it. We need to then move it on to the
Given that, have we ever gotten any notices from neighboring townships, villages, et cetera, of changes of ordinances?
not that I'm aware of.
Oh, that's interesting.
One time I did from the county planning commission, but I'm trying to remember what that
I know we've
was.
gotten like feedback from them, but that's
So-
very interesting.
And then then the township board will look at it. If we hold a hearing, which likely we will, we'll hold a hearing. Then we have to go through that whole process of noticing for that. And then after the board approves it, then we
Yeah,
have
so
to
then
notice
it
it
takes 6
for
months.
incorporation and effectiveness. So that's why
Stand
it's long.
corrected.
That's why I said we need to do something now and then keep amending it to move forward.
So when you say do something now, that doesn't mean anything, something.
Well,
I'm
we've
sorry,
been
I don't
working-
mean to be obtuse,
No,
but
it's
I'm like,
okay.
what does that something need to be?
this has been worked on for about 2 years now.
Okay,
And the point is that we need to pass it, even if it's not fully exactly what we want.
okay, so we
Just
need
so
to
we
say,
have something.
we need to say, so like, if everyone were here tonight, we could say, we are going to move it forward as it is tonight, and then keep revising.
We're a quorum, we could do that tonight if we wanted.
You could.
Um,
You could also, if there are, preferably smaller things, and potentially that short-term rental thing, if you guys want to look at it, you could incorporate some additional things before you do that, which is why I recommended.
well, this wasn't in this as on the website, so this wasn't in. the public
Correct, which is
hearing.
why I said the
So we have to
township
add it.
board would have a public hearing.
Okay,
Because the township board doesn't have to have a public hearing unless the planning commission didn't for some reason. So because you didn't do a whole lot of good, but you did. Technically, we wouldn't have to do that unless you incorporate something with a different intent.
well, there were, so I don't know what you mean about intent, but I guess I should wait until we get to that section because there are some things I feel like are not good go for the future, so, and I'll just state my case when it's time.
Okay, what time did we close it? Public
Yeah,
hearing, what
at
time?
6:23.
Okay,
So since we're a quorum, we can do officer elections and.
yes.
All right, officer elections. So how do we handle
So
it?
you're gonna open the floor for nominations for whichever position you want to talk
For
about.
chairperson, open the floor for nominations.
Okay, I'm going to say this before I nominate. I feel like it takes a while to get your feet on the ground in any of these positions. And given that, I would like to nominate Cheryl Bull for chair if she's willing.
Yeah, that's fine, we can do it again.
So that's your motion to nominate?
Guys, I
Motion
yeah, I
to
need a
nominate.
motion to nominate Cheryl Bull as chair. That's my motion.
I will second that motion.
All in favor, say
Oh,
aye.
no.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yep, go ahead,
All in
sorry.
favor, say aye.
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 Oh, do I have to?
No. Well, yes, you can abstain if you want to. It's up to you, although
You should vote.
I think-
Oh, for the quorum thing. Okay, yeah, I'll vote. Whatever.
okay.
It does take a while. Thank you, Beth. For
I just-
having
I
confidence in
know
me.
nobody likes to vote for their
I
self.
know it seems a little bit weird, but if it were secret ballot, maybe, but. Okay, that motion passes. Vice chairperson. I will,
So, hold on.
okay.
So now you're gonna say, you're gonna ask if there, I know. Ask if there are any other nominations for
Are
chairperson.
there any other nominations for chairperson?
Okay. Then you need to do the next so I did an example motion on here, so you're gonna
Yeah.
move, so you need to entertain a motion to close nominations.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry, I forgot about that. I enter a motion to close nominations for chairperson.
You're entertaining a motion, yes, okay.
And I'll make the motion to close the nominations for
Okay,
chair.
I have a second.
Hold on, and appoint,
And
Oh,
appoint Cheryl Bull as chair for 2023.
okay.
I will second that.
Okay.
I will second everything you said.
Dang.
okay, now.
I said we did
Okay, that motion.
Now
That
you
motion
should
to close.
vote.
Oh, I have to do a roll call.
Mhm.
Oh, what is it? Like I just say,
You asked
Why?
because it's for an officer position, you have
Oh,
to do a roll call.
so should we do roll call on the actual,
Not
on
on the
my
nomination.
nomination? Oh,
On the appointment, not on the nomination. So when you get to
Okay.
the nomination, you have to do
Okay.
a roll, you have to ask each person individually for their vote.
I think we went through
We
this
did that.
before and found out we were double doing, but I'll double do.
Okay,
I don't care.
What am I-
So I made the
you
motion
made the motion.
to appoint you
Okay.
as
Yeah.
chair for 2023.
and
Dave
Dave,
seconded the motion.
Everybody,
Now we
and now
need to
you're gonna
vote.
say roll call, Beth.
roll call Beth,
Yes.
roll call Dave,
Yes.
roll call Cheryl, yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, could we have done this as a group? Like just everybody keep
No.
the same time?
Mm,
Well,
No,
it's,
I wouldn't do
not
that.
you.
Okay,
I'm not saying you can't, but
so, I am going to entertain a motion for nominations for vice chairperson. Did I say that correctly?
Mhm.
Okay. You want me to, okay, I move to nominate Dave Marcelletti for vice chairperson for the year of 2023. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye,
Aye.
okay. Or did I need to roll call that?
nope, that one's
Okay.
fine.
Okay, sorry. Okay. So then I move to,
Are there any other
are
nominations?
there any other nominations? No? Okay, then I can move to close it. Okay, I move to close nominations for the vice chairperson position and appoint Dave Marcelletti as vice chair. Then I do roll call, right?
Yep.
Roll
Oh,
call.
well, oh, you need a second. Sorry,
I
you
need a second. Sorry.
I'll support.
Okay, thank you. And then we just do roll call instead of I, nay?
Yes.
Okay. Just seems weird. Okay, a roll call. Beth,
Yes.
Cheryl, yes, Dave.
Yes.
Okay. So that
Yep.
is closed, passed. Okay. And, since
I would nominate Anita for secretary, but they would definitely said no, she did not want to before. She's got a lot to do with the school and all
Okay.
that.
okay,
Because he takes good notes. I don't know.
Yeah.
She does, well, she takes minutes for the,
Right, for the school board meeting, so, yeah.
yeah.
so, you're saying you don't want to nominate her, or you do want to nominate?
No, I don't wanna
Without.
put
her
someone
being
in
here?
against their will like that, no.
Can we? Table that position until the next meeting when everyone?
No.
No?
Bev has been that position, but I think Bev or Shelley would be fine. I'm pretty sure Anita would be a no, and I don't think Shelley would care either way.
I'll nominate that it was shared.
Okay. And I will second that nomination. All in favor, say aye.
I
Aye.
I,
Opposed? Okay, are there any other nominations for that position? No, okay, I move to close the nominations for secretary and appoint Beverly Sher as secretary of the planning commission. Roll call.
Need a second.
Oh, yeah, I get that all the time. Okay, thank you, Dave. Because I feel like it was already done. Roll call, Dave.
Yes.
Cheryl, yes. Beth.
Yes.
Okay.
Very good.
Yeah.
I know that one's like the hardest one to do every
I'm
year.
sorry. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
Sometimes I have so much information rolling around in my head that I'm like, now which place am I in? Okay, so the next order of business on is the 2023 meeting schedule from January through March of 2024.
Through March,
Of 2020.
I did put March of 2024 on there.
can we do that?
You can, you'll have to, you'll readdress the January ones when that comes up, but that does allow us to put it.
Oh, I like that,
Yeah.
but I didn't know that we could do that.
Mhm. That
So
will
we,
help when we do the calendar stuff later.
Sure.
I think we decided at the previous meeting that it would be Thursdays.
Mhm.
And I think there's, because of that.
Mhm.
And Thursdays work for me, actually better than Wednesdays, but, so just do Thursdays work for everybody here? Thing, okay, so now we talked about, we had moved it to like the fourth Thursday, but I think that if you move it to the fourth Thursday, you run into more holidays. You know, like you run into Thanksgiving and then
Yeah.
around Christmas time, and it's that, so, you know,
The second Thursday was the other option.
yeah, I was gonna say, what about the second Thursday of the month?
So when we were doing this before, we kept running around back and forth. It had to do with Beth and with the board meeting.
Mhm.
So, we've got two options here, to either pick a different Thursday or to pre-select our meeting dates in November and December.
We could do that.
I don't care. I don't have a
When does the board
preference.
meet, which Thursday?
We mean on
Yeah,
the
Tuesdays.
Tuesday.
Oh,
And I was gonna say, I thought that Beth had said, or Beth had said before that Tuesdays were okay for her too.
No,
Tuesday.
Tuesdays were
I
out of
can't
the
do
question.
Oh, they were
Yeah.
out of the question? Okay.
I thought, I was pretty
Or
sure
was that,
Tuesdays were,
you couldn't do?
Tuesdays are out of the question.
Okay.
and I thought they didn't work for them.
She said,
So-
Thursdays were her first pick and Tuesdays were her second. For my.
Could we do the
And
third?
I don't care which Thursday we do.
Yeah, I don't, it
That's
doesn't matter to
totally,
me. I mean, we could do the fourth Thursday and then just in November, schedule our meeting for the third Thursday.
or we could pre-schedule now.
Right, yeah,
Um,
pre-schedule, but.
The other thing to think about is, how quickly things get back and forth between you guys and the board.
well, that's what I was wondering, which one would work best for that.
The second Thursday would work better, if it was if it was that Tuesday, obviously it can't be, but that would still work. Just have.
The
to get it
second
on the agenda
Thursday,
quickly.
I can do the second Thursday, it doesn't matter what Thursday it is, doesn't matter to you. Should we double check with Beth that the second Thursday is okay?
No, I'm pretty sure she had told me before that it was either the second or the fourth.
Okay, all right, well, is everybody good with the second Thursday?
Yeah,
Okay, then let's, oh shoot, we're gonna piece of paper. that I
And-
have in my notes today.
why do we have 6 PM on here?
I don't know, but
I just put it as an example.
Okay.
It's
I
not,
thought maybe someone needed
No.
6
No.
PM, 7 is better. Is it 7 better?
yes, I agree with 7. I mean, I can do 6 if we,
Well,
Wanna
a
be out
lot of
earlier.
times that's a big hustle for people.
yeah,
who are
I mean,
working.
yeah, it's a hustle. Because I
Yeah.
can get out of work at 5, but I
Right.
can do it,
And
but.
I'm
like, 7's
retired,
fine.
so
Yeah.
I'll go with whatever time you guys.
7 or,
Sounds fine.
okay, let's do it at 7. Yeah. Okay, so we will be meeting the second Thursday of each month at 7 PM. And that kind of works around holidays and stuff too, so it'll be easier to schedule for.
So,
Okay, so I am, I will entertain a motion to hold our monthly meetings the second Thursday of each month at 7 PM.
Hold on just a second. I'm gonna give
Okay.
you something to help here. Just 1 second. Cause you have to list all the dates.
Oh, I forgot my calendar. Sorry.
That's okay. I've got it right here.
Okay,
Just give me a second. I'm writing it out so somebody can read it, as
okay,
long as they don't mind reading my scratch.
no. I suppose I could grab it on my phone, but.
No, so I already had them all in there for the second Tuesday, so I just have to go 2 days up and.
Okay. Okay, so I will read out the dates.
That's the whole motion right there for you.
Oh, yeah. Okay. The second Thursday of each month at 7 p.m., specifically on February 16th, March 16th, April 13th, May 11th, June 15th, July 13th, August 10th, September 14th, October 12th, November 16th, and December 14th of 2023, and January 11th, February 15th, and March 14th of 2024. Anyone want to move to?
That was the motion, right?
Are we streaming?
Yes. Well, I think so. Are we?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna move to what she said.
Actually, I'm not gonna say I'm so moved.
So moved.
Okay. Do a second? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any nays? The motion for all those dates listed.
This is.
Okay, pass.
And that's 7 and Thursday.
Here she is.
Those just need to go up.
How you doing?
Good, second Thursday for you.
We approve the second Thursday of each month.
Is that good with you?
Yes, thank
Good,
you, thank you. Anything that's not a Monday, Wednesday, I'm great.
I'll just have to bump them all up by 2.
So, all right.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is, Christy, did you want to say something about the available training or Beth or?
So I put training on here because you guys need to talk about budget too, and I meant to have a worksheet, so I'm just gonna have to help walk you guys through that because I didn't have time to do it. But these are kind of like two items that kind of go together. So you guys need to be able to to convey to the supervisor what you anticipate your budget to be for this year. And I wanted to mention the training to see if there were things that people were interested in attending, so we could incorporate that into your budget.
What is this?
Which two? So there are several trainings from the Michigan Association of Planning that are available. And they're listed in the attachment. And then the other thing I wanted to mention, Bev has already gone through it. I don't think, and Anita has, I don't think anyone else has. There's a citizen planner program through MSU.
Mhm.
So that's another really good program.
And that one's virtual, correct?
Yes,
It's virtual and I would call it an okay program.
okay.
I wouldn't call it really good. It's okay.
Would you call it a really good program for somebody who knows nothing about planning?
Yes, but I would call this MTA better. I don't know how their training is, but their book is really good. The MSU it's a good place to start for sure. Definitely a good place to start.
Did you do the master's program too, or no?
No,
My understanding was the master's program was better, but. Can you speak to that?
The master planner,
Yeah, better than the non-master. Or no? Yeah.
Their online things are
So-
kind of canned.
There, the citizen planner was decent. The ZA program was really good.
That's good.
Yeah.
Master planner, I'm halfway through, so it's. But I've also been doing it in my car,
Okay.
on my car speakers while driving, so
I'm
I'm not getting a whole lot out of it.
Yeah. I can tell you that Leslie really enjoyed the master planner one, but she hasn't been a ZA, so.
Are those free?
No,
No, okay.
No, but we will pay
Yeah.
the board will,
right, which is why I brought it
township
up
will
now.
pay because we want,
It really sounded like
Training.
some of the stuff that the Michigan Association of Planning
Well,
had.
I was wondering how theirs is.
Have you been in any of their sessions?
Although theirs look a little expensive because they're all out of town.
Well,
And so far, only one person, even from the board, has been to an out of town training.
that's terrible.
Well,
Actually, two people,
and
because
right now with
It's terrible.
money the way it is, it's gonna probably be worse when it comes to that.
you know what, though? We have a resolution that states that all of our board and planning members should take training every year.
Right,
And I know it's an old resolution, but it still exists, it's still on the books. So no matter what, I have your back, I will support training. It's important.
So we ought to have enough money for everybody to take at least one course.
That's what I believe, yes.
and also, we pay a big subscription every year to MTA. They've got a ton of stuff that you guys can, you can access online. It's like a pass for all of us. And then the MSU training, you can do that self-paced and online, so that's the good thing about that. These here look like more like a one-day
Yeah, so I don't think,
seminar thing.
which would mean that you're just driving there and back, you're not staying overnight or anything. So depending on where they are.
Yeah, well, like, I don't know how far Frankenmuth is, because I've never.
Franklin
seen
is
that
a
far.
bit of a drive, it's about a 4-hour drive.
5 PM to 8 PM, yeah, that's too
Is it a
long for a
I think that's
3-hour training, and a lot of these are continuing ed, master citizen planner. But oh, they've got a virtual one,
Yeah, I thought they had some virtual
new
stuff too, so.
offering. Intros, oh, that's for zoning administrator course, but it would be good to look at their website and see what else they've got, because I've always wondered how theirs compares,
Mhm.
because that's what they do. So, and isn't it, usually the chair, kind of comes up with the budget, but you should probably work with,
Yeah, I mean, that's the
Chrissy,
first that I've heard, you know what I mean?
Right.
yeah, to
So
figure out
I,
what we
that's, I'm
spend.
gonna need.
That's kind of
information.
why I wanted to have it in a meeting.
And
because
our printing is also part of that too, printing,
printing and
publishing.
So that includes notices, so how many times, like, for instance, the ordinance, if we're gonna move the ordinance forward 2 times in your fiscal year, then you're gonna have 2 notices for that. And then you'll have the mailing fees for sending it to the local organization, the other local municipalities, for hearings and whatnot. That one is a tough one because you do need to budget for those the best you can, but you also get income for those. So,
Get what?
because when people look for special uses and.
Oh,
things
oh.
like that, yeah. Sorry.
Right. We budget for the noticing costs, all that kind of stuff.
All of your
Did-
fees should be covering.
Yeah, they cover it, but you have to budget for the expenditure.
See, I don't recall, I thought that those went under like zoning administrator. The,
I don't know, I have to look at I thought they were under you guys, but I'll look at the budget.
yeah, because our.
Is there a
wasn't
budget that we
big.
can look at?
I will go
I
see if
mean,
I can get one.
We do.
That was
have
my
one
intention was to
from
give you guys
last
a
year.
checklist and I didn't have a chance to. Or
So that's probably, is that something we're gonna be able to vote on tonight then?
you don't have to vote on it. You can actually just present it to the supervisor. The biggest reason why I put it on here was so that you could talk to everybody about what they were thinking training wise. So you can budget for
Right.
that. And to ask if there were any other things that the rest of the commission thought you needed to incorporate into the budget. And then you and I can sit down and talk about the budget.
Okay,
Mhm.
yeah.
So I'm thinking for sure Shelley's gonna want some training and,
I know I do.
and then, these are really good handbooks. Maybe if we ordered a few more of these.
Yep.
They're probably about $50. All this stuff is overpriced, but.
That would be really nice.
And then when we do public hearings, newspaper ads.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I believe that is in our budget. Meetings are in our budget, so do you anticipate special meetings, extra meetings this year, that kind of stuff, so it's just a little, and then with Christie. Showing you like last year's budget,
Uh-huh.
and giving input on things
What
we
we
might
think,
anticipate, and I would just say that it's better to have to put a little extra in there than to fall
Sure,
short.
absolutely. Yeah, better not to, yeah. it's better. So, like, do you guys anticipate that we might need some special meetings?
So,
Or like if we're gonna have, we talked about having a work day or you know, to go over so we would need to budget for that.
and I also think you guys should consider that, in the past, we've had like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, so when you have the community come and feed them and try to get their input, what do they call it something when that,
What the?
Oh, that was for the master
master
plan,
plan,
it was,
yes.
they call it a charrette.
yes. So I think as you're moving into the second iteration, as you move into your next iteration of the zoning ordinance, and you're getting into things that are potentially higher conflict because there are things we pushed off because they're higher conflict, it may be helpful to have things like that. And there are, you know, you'd have costs involved with, potentially with food, because that's how you get people here.
What is it called?
It was called a charrette, it's a fancy word for having people come in, and it was to help with the vision for Columbia Township and that, and it, we spent a lot of money, and not that many people came, and once it came, already had their mind made up anyway. But,
There was quite a few people here, though. The place was full.
yeah, it was, yeah,
You're
about 25, 30, which is probably more than we had in a long time.
And we would do that post, like, after we've worked on it and gotten the ordinance where we want to move forward on it, or should we do that before or something like that?
It really
before?
depends on what you're looking for. So are you looking for them to validate what you've done? Or are you looking to obtain their opinions before you make a decision?
I mean, what,
We did that for the master plan. I don't see that as part of what regular zoning does, but
I mean, I would
It's
think
a-
if we're gonna do
you know?
that, it would be to garner opinion, wouldn't it?
if you're gonna do something major, like change, you know, if you're changing the zoning maps,
Yeah.
changing the district, something like that,
Yeah.
I don't know. You could just build in some extra costs.
I'm not saying that I have to do that, I'm just throwing that out there. as a
Right,
thing
right.
That has happened in the past.
Obviously.
And then, yeah,
Okay.
certain amount of printing,
Yeah.
lots of publishing. And I would say there are going to be probably extra meetings. Just because, look at right now,
At least a few, yeah.
it gives you room for something to
Right.
happen. And then, yeah, if somebody does want something, then we have to have generally an extra meeting or at least a public hearing, which makes extra costs.
What's the average cost of a meeting? Like, what do we budget per meeting for us?
just a regular meeting or a special meeting? Or a hearing?
We pay
Well, no, a
for,
hearing is more.
we pay for each person.
Okay,
We
yep.
pay for Beth attends, we pay for Kara.
And we can sit down and work out all those numbers.
Yeah, cause I haven't seen one and I haven't, you know.
And then with the hearing, there's publishing costs and those are expensive.
And then isn't there also a report that has to be generated at the end of the year from the planning commission?
There should be.
So can't it be something as simple as this is what we did, or it doesn't have to be involved with numbers and that kind of stuff?
No, I think it's
We had X meetings,
we could talk about, it. Don't let me.
Yeah, and I can send an example. That way you guys can take a look. We actually had to do one last night for another place, so I can send that one over.
Yeah, Cheryl, and the way that I think our stuff is written, Cheryl does that. So,
yeah,
so when she sends you the example, you and I can schedule some time and we can sit and budget and the report. You can do it all at once.
Okay. Wednesdays and Fridays open.
Well, those are the days I normally work here, so.
and the board is working on the budget right now, right?
Yes.
Starting to do that.
I will be up here this coming Wednesday. I have at 10 o'clock, but
I
after
have
that,
something at 11, is that the 18th? I have
I
an
think
11
so.
o'clock appointment, but I would be back in the afternoon, or I could, yeah, but I could go into later in the day too. Earlier in the day is not better, I have to go in. But I can make it work.
Oh, well, it's gonna be after, we don't, it's not a big rush because the board is having their meeting on Tuesday. So we're not gonna get it done before then. And for me, the 18th seems already pretty booked except for first thing in the morning, so
Like first thing meaning,
like 9.
I could go from 9 to 10.
Do you have our list of meeting dates?
I gave it back.
That's really early. I can meet with her for a while and then when you get here, you can do it.
what, on the 18th?
Yeah,
At what time?
9. So you'll be a few minutes behind and that'll be. fine.
Yeah, and I can save my mom from taking.
Yeah.
Very safe.
So Wednesday, the 18th
At 9,
at 9.
yep.
So our next meeting is,
What's the meeting for?
Actually, when we did this,
And
that.
review and.
Yeah,
February 16th.
Mhm. Yeah, unless you guys decide later to do a special meeting at the end of this month. To pass all this stuff. It's up to you.
I'm looking for a regular
Yeah.
in March.
Okay. So really, I guess that's all unless anybody else had
Second
things
Thursday,
for you.
March 9th. I have to go through and get these written down.
Yeah, they're gonna be in the minutes too, so you'll see them.
All right, so should we move on to old business? Yes, all right. And discuss further revisions based on public hearing. We don't have any. So, all right, this is where Beth comes in. So do we want to go through and read the short-term rental thing and then talk about it, or?
Well, I want to bring up some things on the zoning ordinance.
Okay.
Sure, I've got one here, another copy. Right. Or sure if either is gonna be here later. or something.
Well, I'd have been here earlier, but everybody wanted to drive 30.
Oh.
One of those nights.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Hey. Where we at?
All right,
Okay, I it's, okay, so the way it's organized, I'm still. I know we were organizing it to find things easier, but it must be me, I'm still having problems finding. When I wanna look up one certain thing, so,
What are you looking for?
gravel mines, gravel mining, gravel pits.
Yeah, we did talk about it. That should be under general. There's special.
Isn't it special, is it special uses?
That's what I was wondering.
Yes.
So currently, it wasn't allowed,
Extraction of natural resources, page 74, maybe?
thank you. That would probably be it.
Questions? Also, I just noticed that title in the
Would you say page what? Sorry, what page did you?
74.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
So we currently don't have this in our ordinance at all, and it was added, and I'm wondering if it's needed.
We talked about that last time we met because we have actual mines here in our township now.
We do, where?
Well, there's the one over, I know there's at least the one sand pit over here at, what is it, 46 and a half or 47, somewhere over there. I'm not sure.
47th, is it, it's 47th, like off of 100, over to 102nd?
No,
So we've
No.
got the operation of transit mix, concrete plant, or an asphalt, oil, or tar macadam batching plant. That's more than like a sand pit. So that's why, can you speak to that? Was that just because we're using any? Like, I know a lot of the ordinances are based on another ordinance somewhere.
This was not me,
Oh,
but it should be, it's better to address it
Mhm.
now. Than when you're up against a rope, having someone say, hey, I want to put in an asphalt plant. Or I want to start mining.
well, they're gonna say, hey, I want an asphalt plant because you allow it in your zoning ordinance. Is it something that is not allowed, or so currently the state hasn't passed that law yet to preempt local control of this issue, so. And they may not this year, we'll see.
I would leave it. You cannot specifically exclude a use.
but this,
So that means everything in the world is allowed.
but this
Right.
is a special, so
It's a special use.
Special use.
so you can put regulations on it and require that they come in front of you before you approve it, but not exclude it.
How about if we just ignore it? That's not in there.
Then they can just do it, right?
So anybody can come in here and do anything they want.
If we don't address it, and if we don't make it a special use.
Well,
we kind of already
But
the township has no regulations for a refinery, we can put it there.
so you're saying that a transit mixed concrete plant could be in the ag district, and I feel like something like that doesn't belong in ag. I don't know any farmers that want to do a concrete mixed plant of their own.
Or tar.
Or what
I
other
get you with
district
the
would you
stand.
put it in?
What district would you put it in? And you want to separate them? You want to create two different?
I would put it in, industrial, or at the very least, I would list that as a permitted use.
It's not permitted, it's a special use.
So I wouldn't list it as a permitted special use, because then they're gonna ask for a special use for that. I mean, a concrete plant,
So I'm still unclear. If we don't want something in the ag district,
Master plan.
does that mean we have to have an ordinance for it? Let's use for example, if we don't want a concrete plant in the ag district, then we have to.
Then you have to allow for it somewhere else.
So we have to allow for everything and have an ordinance for everything,
Even if
then yes.
even if it's not supported by our master plan. Because one of the things of our master plan is to preserve the rural environment and
Which is why it's a
And
special
rural.
use. A special use, not a permitted use.
So my understanding is if it's listed as a special use, we're addressing it and not ignoring it, like we're not supposed to just ignore it. And we're addressing it, but it can also be that in that special use, it has to be reviewed by the board, and then the board can say, no, we don't want that here.
And it goes through both boards. It goes through the planning commission board
yeah.
and the township board.
But you have the rules and regulations in place, you can make it more stringent. You cannot ever say in a public meeting, we don't want to hear it.
Okay.
Because you will get sued until there's no end.
Okay.
That's exclusionary and it's illegal.
And it's illegal. Okay.
So where are
That's why
the-
we have it in.
Where do the rules and regulations, where are they
They're
then?
right there. They're following that all throughout that whole section. It's like 4 pages long, 5 pages long.
So because it's illegal to be exclusionary,
It just looks
you
like
can put in,
setbacks.
you can put in stringent regulations
Correct.
that
To
make
make
it
it
less favorable.
correct.
Okay. Or so that it only operates, so that it doesn't compromise the rest of the agricultural
Correct.
district.
Correct.
Okay.
So when it says activities allowed in the ag district, we should really say everything.
No, because you don't want to permit everything.
No.
But we have to have a zoning ordinance for everything, or else people will just come in and do it, right?
Mhm.
And I kind of question your interpretation of the law.
Well,
Well, really, I think we need a legal opinion, or else we're gonna have to write a zoning ordinance for everything. Everything you can imagine. that
we
can-
are sending the zoning ordinance to the attorney that, well, I'm assuming you guys are going to vote to send the zoning ordinance to the attorney. And you can send it with questions.
So
With
as a
asking
zoning
to take a special
administrator,
look at a certain,
as a zoning administrator, it's your job to know the laws, like the state laws, and the state law. It is a state law that says
In so many terms, you cannot specifically
Specifically say.
include a use.
so there, can we add something in here that addresses hours of operation?
There's all,
absolutely. I would
But
think.
you cannot make it restrictive, or else you get sued, right?
Well, you can do it like
Yeah.
normal business hours, like 7 AM to dusk or something, I mean,
Yes, and part of your special use though is hours of operation, and so some of your special use regulations are going to touch on.
but they're not in here, so
Yes,
do
they
they have
are.
to be in
so
here?
it says, under general requirements, before commencement of mining operations, the operating company shall file an operational plan which shall include, and it talks about all these operational plan things, which talks about site barriers, noise and vibration, air pollution, so on and so
Can we
forth.
add the words hours of operation?
Well, that's the
Just to be
operational
sure.
plan.
Yeah, so there's an operational plan shall
Operational
be
statement
submitted.
submitted.
Net operating
Terminate
area.
net operational areas, which have not been made performance bonds.
I mean, they have.
Can we
to
just
tell
ask
you
them
everything.
to include their operational hours in their plan? Can we list that?
Under the examples, sure,
Yeah,
sure, we'll add hours of operation to the examples.
Yeah,
Under C2,
yes.
yeah.
And just so you know, those are examples, so you guys can require whatever you want.
Well,
Doesn't actually putting this in the ordinance under special uses give the township more flexibility to have regulations in place to protect
Yes.
the integrity of the agricultural district?
Yes.
having it
Other than
as
not
a
having-
special use gives you more control.
Right.
I don't know
that's
about
what it is.
having it in there, so there's nothing that
It
you
is
can
special use.
disallow. Right,
Okay.
I get that.
Okay,
So you're saying that we can't. So how did Richland get away with disallowing gravel mine in their township?
they voted on it.
They voted, during.
They
the
did a
election.
referendum.
I know they voted on it, that much I know.
So you'd have to take it to the vote of the people in the township. You'd have to vote. But having this as a special use actually gives more flexibility to the township to put regulations in place
Yes.
than not having anything at all. Because if we didn't have anything at all, they'd say you have no regulations.
Go do what you want.
I noticed, you know, that's why it says things in here, like it's giving examples of the things they include. It's not saying specifically what they include, so that you guys can ask for more if you need more.
That's, we haven't done section 14.
No, this was something that was added. We didn't get that far.
Okay, right, or, yeah, around 12.
And then the campgrounds in the ag district, I think since we're doing such a big commercial overlay that we should keep commercial things in the commercial area. I think it's
To have a campground and commercial. What's in it?
a commercial overlay district. Like we have, all this is ag here. All the way down, but it's also going to be a commercial ag overlay. The campground, the people who requested the PUD that you're doing. They're on that?
No, they're an ag.
Oh,
They're not with an overlay.
There's
Yeah,
no
I thought it
overlay
was
there right now.
I thought it was out in the ag district.
that's, okay, so that's our planned commercial overlay. That area.
Possibly. If that's what you guys end up doing.
Which was supposed to be all the way down 388
Is the commercial. So
and part of
Is it
215.
okay if I ask where that campground, the request for the campground is? I don't understand where.
It's
it
not
is
a
at.
campground.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
a campground.
So, well,
I
I'm
mean,
just,
I did bring up a campground. I don't think that's what we're talking about. Two different things. So we have someone that did call and ask for a campground, but I don't remember specifically. It was a general question.
Okay.
so
And then what are you
which
talking about?
We allow campgrounds, but not in any district.
Right now.
Well, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So we need
Yeah.
to pick a district.
So
Well, not in your draft, in the current zoning regulation.
and you're saying we can't disallow campgrounds? I know the state can allows up to so many
Yeah,
tents.
don't you want to govern those?
Govern what?
Don't you want to give them regulations, the ones that are automatically allowed?
The ones that are automatically allowed that have the state regulations that say what, up to 4
Right,
tents or something?
don't you want to regulate those?
Isn't that regulated already by the
You don't want
state?
to have any local regulations for that? You don't want to have any guidelines as to how big it needs to be?
What I don't want is campgrounds in the ag district. So, and here's something no one's thinking of. The ag district is there, and it's supposed to be there mainly to protect farmers, to support farmers, and then it's part of our rural character here. The quietness, that kind of thing. Cars coming in and out, all those things affect that, and that doesn't belong in the ag
So
district.
the question is then, if you want it in the commercial district, is right next to Family Dollar an appropriate place to put a campground?
I said in the commercial overlay that,
That is a.
That it's commercial overlay.
so then do we put it as a commercial use and only allow it in the ag district that has a commercial overlay?
I've
Oh, wait, now
never,
you're
I've
creating another
never
overlay.
heard, I've never heard of a commercial overlay in an ag district. That's kind of counterproductive.
Oh, well, then we need to change our entire map. That we need to change our future land use map and take back all that. Cause that's what that
The
is. That's
future-
ag district there.
But we're talking future versus current. Right? You can predict and want something for future, and that's fine. We want to go this way. Camping is not really an appropriate commercial use.
So I have
That's not,
the commercial overlay, so we're saying, we want this, the overlay is, it's ag right now, right? Isn't it zoned ag? Okay, it's
Some of
zoned ag
it,
and this,
some of it is.
okay, and this overlay is saying, we want this to be commercial eventually. So would that be rezoned to commercial?
Oh,
No,
No,
we're
saying we're allowing
overlay, we're saying, we expect that any commercial expansion would be
In this
that-
area.
that way.
so, let me be very clear about the future land use map and the current land use map. The current land use map has agriculture, residential along 388, okay? In Grand Junction, there is a commercial overlay. It is not the same as zoning a property commercial. It is zoned residential with a commercial overlay. Commercial overlay means that they have to come here to get permission to have commercial in that zone.
Okay.
That commercial overlay extends 300 feet from right of way, I think.
I believe so.
So,
What does that mean?
so from the edge of the road,
Right, okay.
basically, we're gonna
Is
generalize.
it the middle of the road? Is it the middle or is it the edge?
300 feet
300 feet from the road.
from the road. 300 feet from the road, okay? That's the commercial. That's not very far. That's what the commercial overlay is. In the future land use map, it extends that commercial overlay over all of the agriculture and other residential down through 388, the same distance, the 300 feet.
From
That's
the
not
road.
very far, yes.
Yeah, how do you get?
So back to what Beth was saying,
But
that
they could ask.
campground doesn't belong in a commercial district.
In my
I
opinion,
don't believe the campground belongs in an ag district either.
That's the only place it belongs. That's just my personal opinion.
What about, okay, so
let's,
Sarah, could you picture a campground next to you? I'm just,
I'm the type of person, do what you want with your property.
so
That's-
let's take this
around
down
here.
to,
Yeah.
let's take this down to the basics. Your campground ordinance right now, the total area of the campground shall not, or shall be at least 20 acres. I will tell you right now, there are no parcels in commercial, whether commercial or commercial overlay, that are 20 acres.
What page are you on then?
That's page 68.
Thank you.
You guys set all of these, you know, when we talked about this, you gave
We
really
did.
big setbacks and
Yeah,
everything so that you could do, so this could be done.
and I've thought about it more and it's really bothered me because I just don't see it fitting in
That's
the
only place
ag
it is.
district, that it, I don't,
Well, maybe
and I
it's-
reread the master plan and I reread the
How, I
the
wanna.
MTA books
why do you not-
and how they talk about rural character and
And
what
why
it
is
means
a
to
campground
people.
not, why is a campground a negative impact on rural
It's
character?
a primitive,
It's primitive, yeah.
So.
so, okay, hang on a second.
You've got to define a campground because all campgrounds are primitive, most of them. So there's a tent campground, and there's an RV campground. So an RV campground is like adding a little subdivision in your neighborhood between April and October in smack dab in the middle of the ag district. And
But
I
if a
see that
farmer
as a
says-
commercial use, it's a business
It-
that's not ag.
So if I wanted to have a campground in my side lot at my house, I split my property. I live in ag, I split my property, I wanna have a campground off in the side lot, 200 feet back, I wanna have six sites, and I wanna put tent sites on there, primitive only, have a nice little restroom or whatever, you're saying that that is a detriment to the rural character?
What does the state say on that? The state allows you to do
No, they
that
would not
already.
allow me to do that, because I said 6.
So
Then you compromise and do 4.
Can you do?
The state is 4 or more,
4 or more?
If to get a campground license,
correct?
the less than is the automatic, you can do it.
I will tell you,
It would
it's
compromise your neighbor's
completely,
character.
it's completely up to you
But it
guys.
won't come with mine. It's not mine.
Is open.
Yeah,
We're talking woods, we're talking streams, lakes,
Such as mine, and I know I wouldn't want to live next door to a campground.
then take campgrounds out of here.
Let's take campgrounds out of here.
And then when someone comes up and they says they wanna put in a campground,
We have
I
no way
will
to regulate
say-
it.
go ahead.
They have no way, we would have zero ability to regulate it if we take it out of there.
You either allow it and regulate it,
Isn't it a commercial activity?
or just allow it.
A campground is not a commercial activity.
So back to, so
Well,
even,
Airbnbs are a commercial activity that we have 0 regulations, 0 inspections, 0 anything on. And
So-
it's still being allowed.
so you are
We've
saying,
got a bunch around us, so.
so we're favoring the lake homes, the lake
So-
homes can go and rent their stuff,
Wait
but
a
the
minute.
agricultural people.
you
cannot.
are saying that campgrounds also, you can't exclude them either. Is that what you're saying? So if you,
Correct, you can't.
Any use.
You can't specifically exclude any use. So I have right now an Airbnb that is a primitive Airbnb, 3 campsites, right? So they don't have to have state licensing, and they specifically did this for a reason. Okay,
And they're unregulated.
I can't do anything. So go ahead.
So can we have a campground with say 5 sites or less?
Do you understand what your current regulations are already doing?
These are current that we have.
No, this is what you guys are wanting to pass.
what,
With the 200 feet setback.
Right.
And the 20 acre lots and so on and so forth.
Okay.
You're already limiting things significantly.
Yeah, there's not gonna be any huge Yogi Bear campgrounds like there is on 388 in South Haven. It's not gonna happen.
No, it can't.
It's gonna be, I think, so here's what so if you regulate it so your campgrounds aren't like, the huge ones like that, and you regulate them so they stay kind of small, probably a little more primitive. And people are, using, let's say you have property that isn't tillable, but you have a stream and whatever, if that allows the landowner to actually use that land and to profit from that land instead of just having it sit, and it's gonna, if we regulate it and it stays small, the impact on the surrounding area is not gonna be huge. If we don't regulate it, it could get out of hand. It could be an huge RV park. It could be
Right.
that. So
And I would
I- you know.
argue that the majority of your ag land is not open tillable ag land.
That is true.
It's lumber.
Yeah.
It's open spaces. It's, a mixed use, which is for larger parcels, which is what it was designed for.
and it's not the farmers that are wanting to do mostly the other uses that I know of. I don't know.
See, and I would even argue that.
Yeah, there's people buying farms and like putting yurts out there. I know three off the top of my
live on
head.
part of it, put yours on part of it, so
They
that
don't
they
even-
have a source of income.
They're not.
And
even
they're
farmers.
selling off
They're
their
not
farms to
farmers.
put in solar farms.
Yeah,
They're
I'd
selling. off
rather have
their-
a few small campgrounds than
A wind
really ugly solar farms and,
I'm working on a 4,000 acre solar farm.
yeah,
So
because,
campgrounds sound pretty awesome.
yeah.
not
And
gonna lie.
wind farms kill birds, so, you know, I mean, it's bad, that's not good for the environment.
Well, I think we would be doing a disservice to people in this community that live in the ag district if we say you can have a camping next to your house. I think if you check with the master plan, they don't want that.
So if it's a 20-acre parcel,
Special use with extreme restrictions, just like the mining thing. It's a
Just like-
special use.
Just say it's special
my
use, to me, says it's pre-approved.
No, it's not even a-
Not it.
it's special use
No.
means
Okay.
you
for
have to get
example,
approval.
The Family Dollar or the Dollar General, because we had that square footage restriction in place. That's how we were able to, win that court case, because that was there.
And I agree, however, looking at the other side, you don't want to run off business.
No,
Well,
We need,
Not all business is beneficial to a community. I'm not even gonna go there with that
Because,
conversation.
like I said, our job from this side is you either grow or die, and I know I keep saying that, but that's where we are.
I would argue that premise, you could grow or die.
you need
We're
to
not
balance
gonna do
things. We need to balance things properly.
When I talk to people regularly and they ask for use and for allowable, and I have to say no. Guess they're
I
not
would
gonna
say-
change their mind on use, they're just gonna go somewhere else.
I think that's okay.
Most people buy into this community.
But then
because
you're
it's
losing
rural,
revenue.
and because
You're
it's got
losing-
the lakes and it's country.
So, you know what? One of the things I loved when I came out here was that there were places to eat. Where do I do that now?
It's okay, man.
We can't
15
change the
minutes.
nature of that.
You know what I'm saying though?
Or there.
You see what I'm saying though, that we ran all that stuff off. And it
No.
was not an
All that
impact.
stuff, there was only one. There was only one. All the rest closed themselves down.
okay, so,
Dutch Mill, I love Dutch Mill.
yeah, I would love to have some.
But
things
they
around the lake.
closed down. They closed.
So, but here's, getting back to the
North Lake, they
campground
closed.
situation. Nobody, yeah, don't want a campground next to your house, but we're talking that they need to be on 20-acre parcels. 20 acres is a lot, so
20 acres is nothing.
Have you
You-
ever seen have you ever seen a 20-acre parcel in commercial ever, anywhere?
never, no,
You might,
not around
There would
maybe,
be here.
maybe you might,
There would be here all the way down to,
because it's an overlay,
right.
And you're only allowing three.
but you're not talking about a true commercial district.
no. Well, what I'm saying is you're like, you don't want a campground next to your house. Well, if you own that 20-acre parcel, then that's what you decide to do with it. Then, yeah, you might have a campground next to your house, so you decided that. But there might be an instance where, you know, you built your house up the property line and then the campground builds it up to the property line.
Which they can't.
That, right, but I don't know, that just doesn't seem,
We have a 200-foot setback.
Right.
With a green belt.
because remember we said, yeah, that we want the plantings to be I mean, if you look at the regulations, 20 acres, I think for somebody starting something like that is a large, it's large. I mean, I think 20 acres is large.
With the current commercial
What?
overlay
That's
description.
not large for a campground, no.
When-
It's a small campground.
If you regulate the size of it,
With the commercial overlay at 300 feet right now, you could not even put this in there, because you need 200 feet all the way around. You don't have 200 feet all the way around in your commercial overlay.
So then we're not updating the map.
Even if you update the map, it's 300 feet from
so
the
they
road.
only get 300 feet. A lot can only be 300 feet has to be the
Now, the
end
end
of
of
the parcel.
commercial,
That was given in the ag district. That was given if it were in the ag district.
that's the commercial overlay description. 300 feet. The commercial overlay description says they can have commercial within 300 feet of the right of way. That's it. Unless you guys are gonna change that.
Within 300 feet like, exactly what are you saying? So if the winery, the Lawrences, if they would have their winery, so they could only do business within 300 foot of the road, and any further back than that, they can't.
According to your commercial overlay, that is correct.
Well, then I guess that would need to be rewritten. When we were planning all that way back then, this never came up.
That's what everybody agreed on, was 300 feet. I don't know what to tell you about that.
So if we don't want campgrounds in the.
We also
in the
didn't have
ag
a
district-
200 foot.
I thought that meant within. I did not, I don't know how you're interpreting that to where, okay, this is the front of their business. Within the 300 foot, so they can't have anything to do with their business on the rest of their property that goes back acres and acres and acres.
The commercial overlay is 300 feet from Old Town.
So they can only,
So that's a storefront that's up by the road and that 200.
Right, that's all I would see that.
it's, so does that mean they can't do anything like the processing or anything, 300 feet beyond 300 feet?
You do
I don't
ag.
think he said it all, but.
Do they have a wedding bar back there? They couldn't have a wedding bar on the property then.
You guys can change that. I'm just saying that that's currently the way that it was described in, I believe, the master plan. It says 300 feet. And the current one, the one that is current is 300 feet.
I certainly wouldn't make it any larger.
So again, you don't make it
Yeah.
any larger, you have 200 foot setbacks from all property lines. That means can't do it. You have to have at least 400 feet to have something on the line.
Can I ask a question or just like an official?
That's up to Cheryl.
Can I ask a question?
Technically, I'm not supposed to be speaking.
Right.
Is there gonna be any issues if I allow somebody to ask a question? Okay, yes. Mary, do I need to recognize her formally?
Yeah, I was trying to listen online, but it kept going in and out, so I had to out of my pajamas and come down, but, so I'm just a little bit confused. I just want clarification. So the last time I was at one of these, which was 6 months ago, sorry, we were all wanting to grow, gotta grow Columbia Township. We're gonna do all this. And then what I'm hearing on today was like, I don't want this, I don't want that, I don't want this, and I don't want that. And I know you're just working on the master plan.
No,
No, we're
Working on the word zoning ordinance.
ordinances. The master plan was done.
Oh, okay.
After, yeah.
So now we're zoning then all the different things that can come in.
Master
I
plan,
did hear Beth say that, and you say you can't exclude something. And that's true, because when I went to court for the racetrack, they said, you can't go with that racetrack.
Yeah, you cannot.
And so,
Geneva Township had no zoning.
but, but they tried to tell us that we couldn't operate at certain times and all that. You can't put all those restrictions on there. Because you can't say to the farm next door, you
Because they
can't farm
didn't have
after
it
5
listed
o'clock.
as a special use,
They didn't need one,
because they had no zoning there.
because there's no
Period.
zoning, right?
Right. So what we're saying is, we
So,
need to zone campground. We
We need to
need
go
to
zone
have an
campgrounds,
ordinance
okay.
for campground. And if they're not gonna be in the ag where there's large parcels that could keep them contained and whatever, where are we gonna put them? Are we gonna put them in the resort area?
Let's put them in the resort where there's a water, where there's a beach.
Okay, does our resort area have 20-acre parcels?
no,
There are
No,
some.
you would have to make them-
where, who's got one? I've got one for sale.
well, the only ones I'm
But-
aware of are owned by businesses already.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
those late 14 or whatever that is.
So
That has one.
if you have it in the Lake District or in the Resort District,
But by the way, those that are that big are already zoned ag. They're not zoned rural residential.
okay.
So what's the difference?
What do you mean?
Can't they put it in ag?
You're just talking about not
You
allowing
don't-
it ag.
Oh, I
Put
see.
it in egg, yeah.
Oh, I see what you.
So here's my question. Cause I'm trying to fill some slots in.
Thank you.
If we move, if we say, okay, you can have campground and resort. But it has to be 20 acres. And there's no 20-acre parcels in,
Then you are
Resort.
specifically
then you are
saying you
specifically
cannot do
excluding.
that.
Okay, so we can't do that. So then we have to change our parcel sizes. If we want to put it in resort, okay,
Correct.
okay.
You can't restrict it so much
Much that you
to
can't.
say you can't do it.
Okay,
Because you might as well just say you can't do it
and then get.
and take it to court, because that's what's going to happen.
So this would be the question, do we think it's in ag, there are plenty of parcels and things that have, you know, lakes and streams and woods and whatever.
Yep.
Would it be better to keep it in ag and keep the parcels large, I mean, the requirement large, so that there's buffers around for the people that live there or the people that have property in ag?
It's 20 acres already, with 200-foot setbacks and a green belt. Just saying.
I mean, I think that is fairly specific, and it gives the intent of that we're trying to keep you're trying to give people their space to breathe. But,
So the residential resorts are all around the lakes. So it wouldn't make sense to make them smaller and put them there.
Don't say.
you said it wouldn't work.
I'm asking.
What was the question?
So the residential resorts are all along the lakes.
Yes.
So would it make sense to make them smaller and put them there, or is there no option
So
there
if
because
you-
it's all home?
If you have a
Inside.
smaller acre requirement, you have to remove the large setbacks.
Right, court, right.
And if you have people who have built homes on lakes and have that
And if
thing,
you think that ag people are gonna
People,
be pissed
yes.
about a campground next door, wait until
Just,
the next to
yeah.
a lake.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you're asking
A
for
lake
a
house.
whole lot of trouble there.
yeah.
So we
Well,
shouldn't do that.
and I will.
Then
revert
they
those
could come up with a special use meeting.
Tip people that live out in the ag district and put it next to their house.
Right. I
Well,
don't,
I live next to the ag, I mean, I'm ag and
too.
I camp and I don't have a problem with campgrounds, they're state regulated. You have to have a state license to have a campground, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'd rather have that than, you know.
I think
a
a
waste trail.
than the person next door, because it's got trash everywhere.
But so here's just one thing that I want to address.
It's not an either or thing.
I know. But I want to address that. It's like, I don't think anybody, and I get the feeling that you think because we're trying to work through this and trying to talk about it, what's the best way to make our community, a place where people want to come
Right.
and yet preserve some of that thing. I don't think ag people are shit people, and I think that's a little passive aggressive, honestly, that you act like we're trying to screw ag people. I think what we want to do and what we should all want to do is make our township inviting for people but to keep some regulations in place so that it maintains a certain level of standard of living for people and improves it. And I don't think that trying to put regulations in the ag and put in things like that means you think people are shit. I mean,
Okay.
just, you know what I mean?
I might not like that term, but what I see is when somebody wants to do something like start some business, they look around and say, where can we do it? Nobody will let us put this campground in. Oh, let's go to Columbia Township. They don't have any, they don't care. We can do anything we want in Columbia Township.
Right, if we don't have the zoning
And
ordinance. they
Bloomingdale
can't.
Township do not have zoning, and people can put whatever they want there.
That's
So
what
that's below you.
I'm like, go to those two
We
places.
need to,
So what's
what,
wrong?
Columbia?
Cheryl,
So what's wrong?
No, but people should be able to live here and
Okay.
have things. here.
So,
Right,
here's the
right.
deal. If you don't have it in your zoning ordinance, people can do whatever they want.
Right.
So I think what we need to do is this like? We've talked about it and I don't know, I mean, like, what do we need to move forward? Do we need to like say we need to make a decision? Is it gonna be where it is now with with 200-foot setbacks, 20-acre parcels with green belts to kind of keep it rural and keep I mean, you're only improving the land when you plant trees and that kind of thing, or do we need to say it has to go into resorts? Because I think what you're gonna find is that you will get a lot of headaches if you start putting campgrounds in the resort area. And you're
Isn't
gonna
it a
have
resort
people
area where vacationers go?
like on the lake, but I don't think,
Yeah,
I don't necessarily think people
Okay,
who
the
can't want
tourists.
to go, but I think we either need to figure something out or like stop spinning the circles a little bit.
Yeah.
What do we want
I
to do?
agree. I just would like to add that master plan was based on surveys and growth wasn't the thing that everybody's always was all talking about. A lot of people wanted even less growth. The main thing people liked about here was quiet, all the open space that we had. There were a few people that, yes, they wanted restaurants and that. A restaurant or two, and that was because Stokes was open. It was because all of that was going on. But for the most part, people don't want this area to turn into a suburb. That's
Right.
why they live here.
Right.
The lake people
Oh,
come here because it is how it is.
How many campgrounds do you see in suburbs?
The density is what I'm talking about, the use, the cars, the density. I see that similar.
So if
And I'm not
that's,
trying to be like so anti here. I'm just,
so if the goal is strictly farmland, right, which is what I'm getting.
And I did not.
Have rural residential and ag, get rid of everything else.
if the goal is what?
If the goal is strictly farming and that's it,
That's not
Then
the
get
goal,
rid of-
strictly farming. You're misconstruing my words. I'm talking about the rural
not.
feel here.
no, and I understand that. but
When
you're
people are in
rural-
town, they know they're in town. When they're not in town, I'm not talking about, I'm not
I'm not trying to be
suggesting something that
argumentative.
extreme to get rid
saying-
of what's already here.
You guys go camping?
No, I hate camping.
I used to keep a camper in a campground for years. And it was 100-acre campground and they only had 80 campers because,
You know what, I'm really frustrated because you guys dealt with all of this.
well, we did, but it was pushed through to just agree. And I know we've got to do the same. I mean, it's not like my way. I'm not the only member of this commission here.
So how do you do it that you can have it there, but you need to come in front of this board? Like, is that the?
That's what this is right
Yeah.
now. It's a special use.
Okay.
The discussion here is, does it belong in ag? Because we keep moving everything to ag.
Is that because
It's a very false statement.
Well, let's put it this way. We are a more agricultural community,
we're
so.
probably
yeah.
80%?
So,
That's our
yeah.
biggest
So
difference.
that's where, you know, if you need to move something that, it's going to be in the agricultural district because we're an agricultural community.
Well, and you know, as a blueberry farmer, the thing is, if, it would be nice to be able to do other things. I don't want to, but blueberries, they're just yanking them out
Yeah.
because there's no money in them anymore.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, the Calhaven Trail, I wouldn't mind seeing little things along the Calhaven Trail for people that are using it,
Oh, I
you
would
know,
like to
and
see
things like that. And
things like that.
yeah,
That's ag.
and the thing with ag is, I mean, to me, camping feels ag. I heard you talking about, you know, gravel pits and things like that. That's a little harder. Now you want
Yeah.
permission from the neighbors and things.
Not
That's
just
a big-
gravel pits, you're talking like concrete plants and all that.
Asphalt company, yeah.
So we have to address them in special uses
Yeah.
because
We
we,
keep questioning that premise that everything is allowed unless we allow it. I would like
unless we regulate it.
I would actually like a legal interpretation of that, like from a lawyer.
Okay.
What you can do is put it in a request in to the board as a whole to contact the attorney and have the attorney at a meeting.
And
Or you could ask Ken, you could email Ken and.
Yeah. Email them and ask them to have the attorney address
And he could
that.
ask the question, and it would be probably.
Because I heard both sides. One is that. Because we have a list of what's allowed in the ag district under law, under right, and under special use. Why even have those lists in there if you're gonna allow everything? Why have an ag district if you're going to allow commercial activity?
To regulate,
Yeah, so that.
that's the entire
Why
purpose.
have an ag district if you're gonna allow commercial activity?
I think of farming
But
as
that's-
commercial activity.
That's where we
No, it's-
differ.
They were here first.
Camping,
It was their
is
community.
it a commercial or is it ag?
Well, are they doing it for money or are they raising?
It's
crops?
commercial. It's a,
Take a racetrack.
that's commercial.
Yeah, that's commercial.
You're gonna put it next to Family Dollar?
How about if we don't put it anywhere?
You cannot legally disallow.
See, I don't know, that's the truth.
Well,
I don't believe, you know, I'm not calling you a liar, I've heard both sides of the story.
So you're saying,
telling you,
Whoever zoning,
are you saying that?
I will tell you, I have 12 municipalities,
you have what?
12 municipalities. They all allow camping. It's all in the ag district. Where you guys want to put it, I don't live here, so I don't care. But
How
the
many
natural
campgrounds
course of things,
do you see coming in?
I'm sorry,
How many campgrounds do you see coming in?
I see quite a few.
And that's a problem. I don't
So,
know.
but I also. And I have a lot of rural communities where the focus is farming. Where there's prime ag, there's general ag, there's rural residential. So I get it. However, there is a fine line between maintaining your current residence and improving conditions and bringing people in. That's what you want.
And, yeah.
That's,
Well,
let me rephrase, that is what you need to want,
No, I'm going to argue that premise.
because you. This board is
Do
tax
you, do
based,
your townships
everything
deal with,
is
with,
tax
with
based.
weekend and summer?
Yes, I have one of the largest lakes in the state of Michigan, one of the largest residential, or Diamond Lake.
Oh.
And I have 3 municipalities on Diamond Lake. I also have Downell Lake. So I will tell you right now, dealing with all of the phone calls for short-term rentals, for noise, for boating, for X, Y, and Z. If you put a campground in a residential resort,
Gonna be.
I'm not taking those phone calls. You don't pay me enough to take those phone calls.
And I think that's when we originally talked about this, we talked about having the larger parcels. We talked about the bigger setbacks in areas where there would be the space to do that, so that it would maintain a rural flavor. Because then, you know, we could say, could we say that they have to be a primitive site? They can't be for campers? Like you can't,
Yes.
okay, so we don't necessarily have to have RVs coming in, you know, to those areas.
So
You could
here's-
get people who are, like you do up in the UP. It's a carry in, carry out campground. That's it.
But you're also
That's what they
allowing
could be.
people
To enjoy
to
the land.
live in campers.
Right.
So,
We're not allowing that.
yeah, but yeah,
We're trying not to allow that.
But
We
you
also
even
have a
allow-
hybrid
but
camp
you
that's got-
allow for,
Single one.
you allow for by far the lowest.
Lowest regulation or lowest,
Our
Square
former
footage.
zoning administrator allowed that and it's continued. This
And that's-
commission did
again,
not allow that.
again, that's- You know, the minimum
Because
square
they
footage.
got a permit to build a home and it just wasn't followed through. That's how that happened.
But I've seen your
And then the others
permit,
are just
and your
illegal.
permit says nowhere on it that it has to have an active building permit.
Hmm.
So I could move to
Why isn't that in our
Columbia
zoning?
and I could put in a permit and say I wanna live in my camper.
And then why isn't that in our, we worked on a camping.
I don't know, because that was already in place when I got here.
You know, we went around and around and around about it.
And I will tell you, as soon as this 3 months expire, I'm just gonna put in another one. You have no reason to deny me. So I'm just gonna keep living in my camper.
So this.
I don't think I agree with your interpretations of that. That scares me, honestly.
Well, but I don't deal in gray. It's black and white.
So this.
That's my job, is black and white.
We went around and around and so we had that all under now. That you cannot, that you have to have a permit, and that you only have.
And then you had to be showing progress, and
You have to be sure.
we did that last December, 2022.
2022 or 2021 December.
We can come back to
2021
campers.
December.
My point was, is
2021.
you're going to not allow campers on a campground. We're allowing people to live.
Live in it.
So
Okay.
as an outsider looking in, that doesn't make any sense. I'm right or wrong, indifferent, whatever it is. Looking
So that's
in,
part of the gun shy,
That's-
because even though we hire zoning administrators, we still have people living in campgrounds, so we're supposed to invite more, or in campers, we're supposed to invite more into the community. And
Well,
put
that's why-
by-
but that's why you have rules and regulations.
Yeah, our campers are expensive, so the thing is I think if you
But
have,
obviously not.
well, for people who are living in them, you know what I mean, but if you have, but to me, the people that I know that go camping don't live in their campers, you know what I mean? It's their-
Right. Camper, believe me.
And they come in and they camp and then they go and. I
What
mean,
I'm thinking of is the nighttime, the party and the music.
campgrounds have things that there's no noise after 10.
Yeah.
They have pretty, and people come around and say, being too bad about your campfire,
Yeah.
why don't you go? That's why I don't camp, I just stay home.
Yeah.
And do we have to put those rules in our special use? Because this would be a special use, correct?
For the campground?
Yes,
Yes.
and
You
The
already
noise-
have an
We already
noise
put-
ordinance.
we have a noise ordinance, the township one are you speaking of, the one that people say they can't enforce?
Correct. Which,
Wouldn't it be better to
Obviously,
just
the
put that
noise-
ordinance directly on the?
But yeah, like.
the noise ordinance needs work. The noise ordinance out of every ordinance, everywhere known to man, is the hardest
To enforce.
I'm
to
sure.
enforce.
Yeah.
Right, other than if they pull up and they hear it, but.
No, because you still have to have,
You have to have.
you have to have certificate, you have to be certified to use the instrument, you have to have the decimeter, it has to be
I
certified.
thought our deputy had one, we bought one
Right, the deputy has one, but
for you, so. Then couldn't we at the very least add something in our special use conditions about
camp
noise after, quiet time after 10 PM or something
I
like
would just
that?
put, must follow all other township
ordinances.
ordinances.
Okay,
In that,
And that would address it.
so, okay.
well.
But like I said, I completely get the rural feel. And I appreciate that. So I don't want you to think that I don't. It's my job to bring ideas to you, bring options to you. This is where you live. This is why I will never work where I live,
I don't like-
because I don't take it personal. I present the facts.
Well, I'm trying not to take. So much to be personal,
But it's hard.
our discourse is not personal at all.
No,
I'm trying to look at this as not just me, as the township as a whole, but so. being someone who doesn't live on the lake, when you live on the lake, you are insulated from what the rest of this township is like, actually living it day to day and what's happening in this township. So when I see these things, yeah, it kind of freaks me out because I think, oh my gosh, are we opening the door to more trouble, to more scenarios?
And you,
But I was not understanding that if we don't regulate it, it's like saying anything goes.
which you also don't want, but
Right.
the other side to that is you want the farmer's opinion. You want the people living on the lake's opinion. You want the camper's opinion. You want the racetrack people's opinion, you know, because that's what makes it a whole.
Right.
You know, so we have to encompass everything. Not just focus on one or the other. If all we did was focus on
I know this township doesn't want a racetrack.
the residential or the resort, everything would just be an Airbnb.
It already, that's,
Right, yeah.
that's gonna be
right now,
regardless, because that's just human nature, money, money, money.
but
There's
what
more
I'm saying,
LLCs.
what I'm saying is that everybody has what's important to them, to their viewpoint. So the
To me, it's
people
a
that,
livable community.
the people that live in town here,
Mhm.
they want more places to eat. They want somewhere to, a grocery store.
So.
They want
Nothing we do
somewhere,
is gonna make any difference, because nobody's gonna put in a restaurant if there aren't any customers. That's
and
why
if you're not growing,
And
then
there
there's,
won't be any customers unless you allow,
maybe Columbia
Commerce.
Township
There are
could be
plenty of
the
customers.
place then.
Yeah.
I will tell you, growing up camping, that's what we did is we'd go into town, we'd go to a movie. At a huge family unit, we would go to a restaurant.
Yeah.
We would, you know, so
Well,
while
I'm not
I-
gonna hold this up any longer. I feel like I'm done arguing this point. Moving on to the board, because if it's got to go somewhere,
it's up to you guys.
Well, you know, you keep saying it's up to us, but then we got badgered and badgered and badgered. You got.
No. I want you to think the bigger picture.
Right.
That's all I'm asking.
well,
That's all I'm asking.
My big picture is like the way it is now.
But all three of your big pictures are conflicting. So I'm asking you guys to converse amongst each other, and that's why the board is set up.
this is
the way
our big
it is.
picture. And we did get input. A lot for this community and not enough, but we did. And this was worked on for 2 years, a year and a half, because the one that was worked on for 2 years before that, a new board came in and a new group of people, and they decided they didn't like that. So this is the master plan that stands now. And overall, the most thing that people were saying was they liked the peace and quiet. They liked the natural space. They liked the beauty, and they wanted a winery and a restaurant. That's pretty much what people said. Some people said, just give us internet and leave us alone. I mean, it's, so,
So it's supposed to be up to us. Like you say, we're conflicted, and we are. The reason why we're conflicted is because somebody keeps getting in our face saying, you have to have this, you have to have this thing. And I'm saying, I don't think we have to have this thing.
well, then we need to find out. We need to have the
I
attorney
would
tell
really
us.
like to have.
So you need to send an email and request that,
Okay.
okay?
I would like to add to that camping ordinance, if it's not in there, I would like to add and must obey all other township ordinances, and maybe we should add that in all of our special condition, special use things, if we could just put a little blip in there,
Well,
because you're
it's kind
saying
of
when it's
weird.
not on paper, what you said earlier, it seems to be when it's not there, it's not enforceable. Cause you're saying, oh, you don't deal in gray areas like the,
Enforceable, now you're getting into kind of a different realm. But under your special use ordinance. Okay, so take off campgrounds, any other specific special use, your actual special
here, we're building a house on the property.
Or we're like the people down the road from me actually did, that they were actively in there gutting the home that was there and redoing it, and they moved out of their camper and into the home.
Okay, so it's
Like
not,
the way it's supposed to
Right.
work.
Okay, so I'm gonna throw some questions out. Act of natural disaster, yes or no?
what is that? What do you mean?
Fire,
Oh,
flood.
they can live there if they have that. I would say, yes, I
If
think
they're
that,
actively fixing the old house.
yeah.
Yeah.
We'll come
because-
back to
We're
that.
building it.
Yeah, because they would have permits for that too.
I just wanna remodel my house.
Yeah,
Yeah,
No. No,
It's up to you guys.
why no? What if you're doing a complete gut job and doing it all at
it's not one house.
We're not talking about, hey, you had water damage or
we've got that
whatever.
going on right down the road, and it's been, I would put a time limit on it. It's been
Okay.
a couple of years there on 215. They do a little something and then they bring in another camper. They keep switching campers that they live in. And they get worse and worse, and meanwhile, the work that they did do falls apart.
But then again, there's nothing enforceable, so we have to have something enforceable.
So it would be like a time limit?
Or what we had on the books.
Okay, devil's advocate.
I wanna remodel my kitchen, but I don't wanna stay in my house because there's dust. Yes or no?
Yes.
I
as
would
long
say
as it's
yeah.
temporary.
Yeah, I would have different timelines for.
Is there any reason for any sort of construction on the primary residence to where you would feel it's not appropriate for anyone to stay in a camper?
I would say it depends on the amount of time that they were taking.
Which
to
will,
it.
Yeah, we'll address.
Okay.
we'll address, but for whatever reason,
No,
we can stay in a camper. As long as,
Yeah.
you know, we're
If you're
doing
following the
construction.
regular, yeah.
Obviously, we need to have an active building permit.
Mhm,
Is everybody,
yes.
in,
okay? And I've seen this more times than not. I'm on my third building permit because I do just enough work so I can get another year's worth of an extension because building permits are good for a year.
this person has done no work, zero.
So,
He's been
I
there
think you
3.5
should
years.
Could we put something in that, you have to get if you're remodeling, you have to get the house inhabitable. A portion of the home inhabitable within 1 year, you get a 1 year permit. I mean, is that anything that's been done?
Yes,
So
but
that
your
you,
building inspector is gonna have to enforce that.
okay,
Hmm.
and do you
So,
see? if
so
you-
what can we do to prevent that?
So here, we're going to now go along the lines of the time limit.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Is 1 month? What do you feel is the max? That if someone comes in and says, I wanna remodel my house, I wanna stay in my camper
I'd say.
while I'm doing the work, I have a building permit. What is an appropriate initial timeline?
So permit's good for a year?
Correct.
I guess, you know.
And just take into account it's Michigan.
If you're remodeling the kitchen, I'd say 3 months. If you're doing a kitchen and a bathroom, it takes six months, you know, it depends on, are they doing the work? And so I would say, I don't know, 6 months is a reasonable amount of time for the first go round, don't you think? For remodel, you're talking?
I don't feel that way. I would say 3 months.
I've remodeled,
max.
oh, okay.
What if someone's like doing mold abatement or something?
Then that would be a special request.
And my daughter-in-law just had that done.
So let's say, here's another instance, right? Which happened, house burned down, I have people living in a camper. They came to me, requested, said, you know, we're working with the insurance company. Everything's backlogged right now. I can even they're bringing in a modular. But the company can't deliver for 6 months because of supply and demand, and it happens right now.
Yeah, for sure.
I have to take that to, this isn't a village. I have to take that request to council. It's not on me at that point. I can only permit you up to 3 months. Anything beyond that, for a natural disaster or whatever, mold abatement, that needs to go before the board. That is a special exception.
Yeah.
So,
That's on you. I mean,
Yeah,
that's-
Do you think like for a natural disaster, like your house burns down, taking into account all the supply? chain
Yeah, I
issues,
say a
you think-
year. If your house burnt down, it can take for the insurance to start to get their stuff together.
so there's gotta be.
Here's the caveat.
Oh, insurance will pay for them a place to live though.
Yeah. they
Oh,
will.
right.
Okay.
Thank you for catching that, because they didn't want to deal with the insurance company. So they refused the single wide that the insurance company brought in. And I'm just living out of a camper.
Yeah, or
People do crazy
So
things.
should we
or
just
no,
set it, so do you think it's reasonable to set it at 3 months, like you have to make that home? Like if you're just doing a remodel, you have to make some part of that home inhabitable within 3 months.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that is very
I
reasonable.
think that's good. and if they-
That's what I would recommend.
And if there's, right, and if there's a natural disaster and you have to move out, then you still get the 3 months, but,
You can always apply for another 3 months.
right,
Here's the thing though.
but you can,
You're coming back in and you're applying after 3 months, and I'm gonna say, okay, I just need to verify that you're actually doing something.
right,
Yes.
I think that.
So now the building inspector is gonna go out, I'm gonna go out to verify that you're actually doing something.
Yeah,
If you're not, your additional 3 months is now denied. If you are, and in good faith, we could potentially extend that.
Yeah, I don't,
I
I
agree
don't
with
think
that,
that's
with
a bad
eyes on it, especially from the zoning administrator. Our building inspector doesn't necessarily get to places in a timely manner.
Wow, that needs to.
Well, I mean, I think-
That's a different
Right.
conversation. That's a whole nother conversation.
I think that's, okay, that's a reasonable thing. That is gonna tidy up some of the camper issues and that type of thing. So yes, we agree with that. The three
Okay,
of us do?
So obviously it needs to be licensed. And it needs to be in working condition.
Okay.
Meaning the
The
tank.
camper. Yep, you have got proper blade on it and
Yeah.
it's still sitting on 4 tires.
So does that mean that the building inspector has to look at it? Cause he looks at all homes.
He should be looking at
It won't
the
happen.
construction progress.
Hmm.
But if somebody's gonna pull a mobile home in, he's gotta inspect that first. So I'm just saying, he knows how to inspect.
Yes. Yes and no. More of that's going to fall on me, but we're getting
Getting it.
there. So the camper's gotta be legal. The next part of this, electrical needs to get signed off by your electrical inspector
For the camper.
for the camper. So we're not handmade running
Kerosene.
electrical wires that you've affixed to a pole, which I don't know, which I've seen. I don't know how they live to tell about it. Okay, so the electrical has to be appropriate. Heating needs to be appropriate, which is where your building inspector is going to come in. Actual legit wood stove
In a camper.
in a camper with no ventilation, so again, not sure how they're alive.
Yeah, that's what scares me about all of them.
So And then we need to have running water or access to clean running water. And is sewer hooked up?
Yes, that,
And
yeah,
that's gonna fall in the health department. But it's the homeowner's responsibility to make sure all of these things are signed off on before I'm gonna approve it.
Okay,
I'm not going to chase after the health department.
right.
I've done that and that's no fun.
It's hard. Our
That's
health
their
department-
responsibility to make sure, especially if there are children involved, the health department needs to sign off on that. There are too many issues with raw sewage being dumped on the ground.
And that's happening, and
It is.
and they just say, oh, we're taking it to that outhouse at the public access and dumping it there, and it seems to be okay.
so by putting that ordinance in there, that requires the homeowner to do those things before, and you have those signatures before you sign off on the permit to do that. Okay.
Right now, it's just a checklist. So guess what the homeowner does?
Check, check,
Yeah, I
check.
talked to DHS.
Yeah.
I
So
talked
are
to
you
the
gonna
health
put in
department.
that ordinance that they have to show proof of
Yes.
inspection? Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Okay,
Front yard, backyard, side yard,
For the camper,
yep, does anybody care where it's at?
not particularly.
No, because what if what happened in that backyard and they have to put it in the front yard, or what if they, you know what I mean? I
Yeah,
mean,
I
it
was
should
gonna
be,
say no, but yeah, I think maybe so, yeah. You can't be right on that street.
right, maybe there has to be a setback from the street or something?
Well, so you already have setbacks, right, for
right.
your housing.
Yeah,
Is it appropriate that we can just say, listen, you have to abide by the setbacks in your zone?
Right, yeah. You always have to think of the worst case scenario. I think why would somebody put their camper right up by the street that, you know,
You would be surprised, I just towed one out of the right of way.
the one out there down on 15, they're right on the road there. Just don't know.
Okay.
I need to be excused for a minute, okay? Sure. That was our 2020 ordinance.
how's your Christmas, Kara?
It was good. How about yours? Nothing exciting. Typical.
We changed some things up this year.
Yeah,
but it was
well,
nice.
the weather was like crazy for everybody to travel and stuff, so all got delayed for a lot of people.
Yeah,
Luckily, all of our family's local, so
yeah, we did everything at Christmas Eve and Christmas. Day.
that's good. Yeah, Bev was saying she had to schedule a bunch of different plans because her family's all out of state.
better than ever,
What?
better than ever.
Yeah, we didn't see anybody or do anything. You should be on it.
It was the best. I got a little big Grinch hat. Cats and a dog. Pretty dog.
So my next question is going to be, are you okay with terming that it has to remain movable at all times? I cannot put permanent stairs.
Right, I think
I
that,
cannot put skirting.
yeah,
Right,
I think that's wise. Yes, that seems reasonable,
Yeah.
because then they're not establishing. And you're not saying, well, it's always been here.
Okay, so I have enough to write one up for you guys.
Okay,
The only other thing that I would request that I don't see in your ordinance that I think is important to have is prohibited dwellings.
Okay, and what would a prohibited dwelling be?
Camper,
Camper, sheds.
Oh, wait a
RV, a shed,
So we're talking about
A-
temporary dwelling and we're saying it can't be a camper?
no, prohibited dwellings. So I wanna live in something permanently.
Oh, okay, okay.
So
I'm
we're
just
talking
thinking, wait a
about,
minute, Were we just talking about it?
no, we're talking about your temporary dwelling, so I can temporarily for a natural disaster stay in a camper.
Right,
But now we're gonna move to the enforcement side. I need something concrete to take to court to say, oh, they're living in their camper.
Okay.
So prohibited dwellings, I think campers full-time, we're all in agreement.
yes,
Camper, RV, any mix thereof.
right,
Tents,
yeah. Cars. Vehicles,
vehicles,
we're doing prohibited dwellings right now.
Okay,
And that's gonna go into temporary or,
this is going to be a new section.
okay,
Is it yours or Tim?
Because I need something enforceable. Okay, so we're going from a zoning permit living in a camper for natural disaster to I need something concrete that I can enforce. So camper, any sort of RV, tents, vehicles, tree houses. We laugh, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Dave mentioned yurts.
Is it
that's,
yours or
you could
Tim?
call that a tent. It's a canvas house with a little wood frame.
They generally have a wood stove in them,
I don't even know.
So you can't.
Why
put a
you
wood
are
stove. But there's a lot of tents now that you can put a wood
Yeah,
stove in.
yeah. What else did you say?
Hold on. You have to put that in.
Oh, how about
Accessory
shipping
structures.
containers? Shipping containers.
Thank you.
What if somebody wants to build a shipping container? They do, like they cut out the side, they put windows in, they're pretty amazing, some of them are amazing.
Yeah, for people that have tons of money to spend on something like that, they are amazing.
But I just want to drop a shipping container in my yard again.
So it would be
Throw
something
something back.
like if somebody came and said, this is our building plan, and we're doing, okay, that's a different thing, okay.
They've had to have an engineer plan.
Again, plan for worst case.
Cause you can always back off of it.
Correct.
And is this going to also apply to people that say they're going to build a home? Is
For
it this,
temporary
this is for both?
Yeah, because your temporary dwelling is only gonna be for an RV.
Yes.
At no time is it okay, temporary or otherwise, to live in a tent.
Right.
And again, let's go worst case scenario. If you're an adult and you want to make decisions for yourself, that's great. Except for I've got 5 kids. And we're now living for 3 months in the dead of winter in Michigan in a tent.
Yeah,
Okay, so accessory structures other than. Because we were talking at one point about apartments above garages and,
Barn dominiums,
well, that's
are
not,
different,
yeah, that's a little different.
okay.
So shipping container,
You couldn't
anything
breathe.
else?
Excuse me?
Anything else?
garage, you got garage.
Yeah, that would be an accessory structure.
A hole in the ground.
You do have
You don't-
cellars,
you don't have to put that in there.
you do have cellars in this one.
Yeah, it might be wise to put cellar, because you're not gonna have any,
Trailer, coach, garage, cellar, basement.
I think what they were saying, trailer coach, that's an outdated camper.
yeah,
Okay.
coach is kind of an outdated, term, isn't it?
And some of these we can address without an appropriate ingress, egress,
Yeah, right, like a cellar
or attic.
or an attic or basement, basement.
Okay. All right, let me get these two written up for you. As for campgrounds. Let's just think about it, make a decision.
And can I say something on, I want to say something about, the comment Dave made. It takes me out, I'm not a quick, immediate processor, but I think I know what he meant. And, I think he was meaning something, and correct me if I'm wrong, along the lines of it felt that way because, you know, we say, oh, that's not gonna go, you know, Mary said, by the lake people, they won't have that. So I see where that remark came from.
And that's fine, but I
Right.
think we need to realize that that I don't necessarily, I'm not a camper.
Right.
I would not, I don't camp or whatever, but I'm trying to be equitable to everybody in the thing. I don't think. I can see good and bad in both, but if you don't, you don't do something, then everything will
It's
happen.
like, these people aren't gonna allow it, but you can like put it on the other side of the tracks where they are.
Yeah, I don't feel that, I do not feel that.
From us, I mean, that was just an offhand comment that Mary made, because
I don't feel that way. I just been looking at size of parcels and how you can protect the community around it based on the size of the parcel.
And we can do, you know, the green belts, the buffering, you can do berms. I mean, there's all sorts of options to protecting neighboring.
And you would actually
Yeah.
you would actually make that space even better by requiring that.
Absolutely.
You would be improving them, you know.
And the goal is improvement of land. I mean, you want to build up your land base. And maybe I should have said it a little bit differently earlier as far as land improvement. Because that brings up your property value, which brings up your property taxes, which makes, you know, it just builds. So
It's going to make
So-
money. Well,
I have a very sticky question there on campgrounds. And I don't even know where this falls. Is it outside the realm of zoning to not allow firearms in the campground?
any state land, any
I
state
don't,
land, you
I don't know
can
what the
have
laws are.
firearms, but you have to be real careful. And,
I'm talking a
Heating and-
campground.
no, I know, but you have to be real careful impeding on Second Amendment. I would
think
tell
that'd
you,
be
my,
something more for the campground itself too.
my
See,
husband's
I
a
worry about that
police officer,
because-
so you're asking the wrong person. And I have a CPL I carry, so. I'm
Well,
not,
I'm asking because of what is happening in the area where I live. I own guns. All my neighbors own guns. Unfortunately, there's one who wants to continue to illegally discharge it. And of course, by the time the police get there, he's not illegal anymore because he said, oh, I was shooting at that target, not trying to scare that lady over there and her kids.
yeah, that is a good point. The state has so many rules and regulations, that's something that I would have. to-
Because that's what I picture. People like to come out here to do things they can't do at home, like in the city, in Illinois, in Indiana. That's why, one of the reasons I came here.
Well, and you could
but I live
stipulate
here.
that in the campground, you can't have a firing range. I mean, that's not really
Right.
appropriate
Yeah.
anyways.
Well, that's what I meant,
Yeah.
And there are laws about.
because I
Yeah,
picture
yeah,
people out there
Fire.
and then what, it's
Yeah, I
like the
don't
noise ordinance and.
Most people who are gonna go camping are gonna pop off rounds.
Well, it
in the
depends
air.
on the nature of the campground and the owner.
Yeah,
You know, just because someone has no money doesn't mean they got brains.
well, that's true, but. And I just want to stipulate, we moved here because we like the rural area, so my intention is not to ever be like, we just gotta bring everybody willing to bring people and no, I don't. In my business or every round, so if I'm doing the other side of something, it's actually, I want to make the whole township better for everybody. And I
Yeah.
think if we have good ordinances,
Right,
things that, things might not happen. If
Yeah.
it, like that you have been struggling with neighbors, if you have good
And-
ordinances.
and I'm
that
not
can be
trying to
enforced.
do it, so
Right.
just for the record. I'm not doing this with just me in
Oh, I
mind.
know.
I'm thinking of the people that talk to me,
Right,
right. And what I see, that's all
and it's tough when you have a
It
credit.
is hard.
It makes life miserable.
I think our first duty is to the people that live here,
Yes.
and way down the list are the people that want to come in and just get away with stuff they can't do anyplace else.
So I think that if we have some of those ordinances, that have a little bit more strict like setbacks and requirements for things like that, then you are gonna probably detour the people that only just want to come and do it because they can do it here because they can't do it other places. But you might actually attract quality, people who are like, we love the rural setting and we want to keep it rural, but we want also to,
And on the other side of
because
that,
a lot of people like that do that are conservationists.
on the other side of that, so we have a farm. It's a hobby farm. We have animals and it's just 5 acres, but I also live right next to a huge milking operation. It wasn't huge when I moved in.
Oh, yeah.
It is now. And I will tell you that, and I, right to farm and everything else, and I get it. I am vehemently opposed to that they just put in enough barns and are housing 60,000 chickens right next to my property.
See, that should be industrial, but. I
But
see that
it's,
as
it's
industrial.
farming, right? And they're protected, and I live in a very large farming community, so I get it. But that is awful,
It's a lot of smell.
that is awful,
I can imagine.
living next to. So, I mean,
Well, it's not-
even protecting the farm, the
Yeah, even
farmers
protecting the
and
egg and the farmers, you still,
you still have to,
Chickens, is it a chicken operation?
well, it's both,
Poultry?
they milk over 1,000 head of cattle. And they've got 60,000 chickens.
Wow.
eggs are expensive.
Okay, I have 40 chickens, but they stay in their little
40?
place.
Yeah.
Oh, my
I
gosh.
only have got 2 of mine.
I have 0 now. I had to undo a fence and foxes down. I'm starting over this year. I 5 years, not one disease, nothing.
So are you kind of saying that, yes, if you protect that farmland, you still have to, just because it's farming doesn't mean it's not industrialish kind of farming next to a small farm?
No,
No.
it's that there's there's problems among farmers.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's no matter where you're at, whether you're protecting the farmland, I don't know.
But they were there first, so it's like,
The
I
chickens
get it.
were,
I would
the
have,
chickens were not, let's be.
I would hate to
real.
have the bad luck of that.
Yeah, so
Cause I
it's
would
just,
want to move.
There's gonna be a positive and there's going to be a negative
To
on
everything.
every single thing we do.
Yeah.
And I think our job is to kind of like mitigate the problems and make it very easy to enforce and make it very easy for people to understand.
And
As soon as
that enforcement is important, so it's like I'm all for, helping you with whatever words you need to be able to just ask people to obey the law and be able to do it.
So when we're talking about living in campers, how about people that have acreage when they want to like camp out for a week? For 2 weeks or something?
so what we can do is write a caveat in there that you are allowed to camp.
On your own property.
But let's say your mother-in-law wants to come and bring her camper and stay for a week.
Well,
So-
we had ordinances for that too. Did they also disappear? Yeah.
About all that.
You were here.
I was gonna say,
No, you weren't here.
I will look through everything,
Okay.
but if not, then I will, we'll address it.
Like, there was a 30-day
It
thing.
was a complicated mess. but, you know.
I think we came up with like, you have a permit to have
Yeah.
something like that on your property for 30 days, as long as they have access to sewer and water.
Yeah.
And we did something for around the lake, so you could have, you know, like a guest house camper thing for a short period.
Yeah. See, we did it, we
And that
remember.
must-
And you guys are good, you guys are good for 30
You guys.
30 consecutive days in any 365 calendar year,
Yeah,
How about
that's what
30
they
days
said.
total?
30 days
30 days
total,
total.
Well, they can't do-
consecutive or broken up in any way, shape or form.
I think we
Oh, I,
said broken up.
it's the broken up kind of hard to enforce. How would that be? I mean,
Well, if I see it there this week and I don't see it there next week, then
Yeah. then
It's not a
30
problem.
days, right.
if I see it here, you know, this week and
2 months.
2 months from now we have a problem.
Yeah.
And you can tell when someone's living in one versus,
right, yeah, you generally can.
How do I start
Because
this?
there's something, people would use those as a Airbnb, come stay in the camper at the lake.
which we're gonna get into that. in a
Oh,
short
I never
I just
did
can't even
that.
do anything more gross, I'm sorry.
What, a camper?
I can't go come stay in my camper by the lake.
Oh.
Oh, yes.
Unless it's in a poorly decked out Airstream.
Yeah, now I wanna get a little camper so that my granddaughter, when she comes, has a place to go hang out, and then I have a place to go hang out.
Not for
Glamping.
more than 30 days.
Because I don't have my pole barn insulated and it's too darn cold in the winter.
So you made an ordinance against yourself.
I know, but hey, that's all right.
Can I ask you an unrelated question or maybe related? How small? How large a shed can you build without a permit?
Typically, it's,
No, I can get a permit.
I'm kidding.
typically, I do believe it's 200 square feet.
Up to 200 square.
I do believe, but some people out the book.
People can put up these like Rubbermaid stacks and. they can put
This
up
door.
50 of them.
How about that?
You guys do not, are not very stringent on
On that.
accessory structures. I do have some that limit the amount of structures you can have
Oh, okay.
per number or
Total.
a total
Total
percentage.
Yeah, like you don't want it to be like 80% of your deck.
Yeah, so that's right. If you put up a 100 square foot shed. And you put up 10 of them.
Typically, the verbiage is one
One,
per property. So if I want to put up a second one, now I have to, even though it's under that square footage, I still have to have a permit
Really?
to avoid that. Yeah, so you're not bringing in 10, 100 foot,
Oh,
100 square foot
Yeah.
Rubbermaid shed.
and now I'm gonna cut a wall off and duct tape them all together and.
well, I put my chicken coops on wheels. It's like a little house on big tires and we can tow it,
Chicken tractor.
kind of, but it's
Yeah.
more of a coop, yeah.
Yeah.
That way I had options, cause I didn't.
Well, they
decide
decide
where
where
to
the
put
yard
it.
up, yeah. Yeah, they do. So, in order to get out around 9, should we go through our reports? Do we feel like we've come to a place where you
Yeah.
but you can-
Are
Yeah,
we,
something to do? We all spent,
so what did we decide?
we decided,
Sending this through to the board?
yeah, what do you guys wanna do?
I am not gonna put my rubber stamp on it the way it is.
Should we schedule another meeting this month since this meeting was kind of, I hadn't checked my email, so I didn't know about it until Oh,
Yeah, 'cause
Tuesday.
you were
and-
looking, yeah.
But so I'm thinking Shelley couldn't be here, Anita couldn't be here.
So, today is the 12th. Should we schedule one for a couple weeks from now? And then I can send out an email. I can send out the email, can't I? It just can't answer it together.
Do the public notice too, right? Is that
Yeah,
your job?
I think now.
Christie, the clerk does the notice.
Like, try to do it for 2 weeks.
Oh,
from
for, of a special meeting?
Yeah.
now. Yeah,
Oh, you only need like, I don't know, 48 hours, something like that.
Last time we had to
It's
change
like
it.
a special meeting of the board because it was a public hearing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you would want to, also send an email to Christie so that she can notice it. And then, Beth, is there any way, would that be too short of a turnaround for you to have any of the new ones that we're talking about tonight, or?
No, this should be fine.
is there a date that if we did it on Thursday? That works, because I think you need to be here to help walk us through it.
Yeah, I mean, I can, like I said, Thursdays are my better days, so, you just let me know.
Okay. Okay. All right, let's move to, yeah, because I kind of feel like we can decide on things, but we can't. Without
so-
everybody here. 2 weeks would be the 26th.
Yeah.
So I'll send that out first,
And you want that at 6?
6 or 7, I think.
7.
At 7, okay?
Does that work for you, Beth?
Yeah.
Or is that-
I thought tonight's was at 7, so.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so 7 PM. I will send that out. All right,
Do you
zoning,
need to vote on that?
oh, yeah, probably. Well, do
No,
we?
no, well, maybe we could just in case,
Okay.
I know you could,
Does anybody want to, I will entertain a motion that we have a special meeting on January 26th at 7 PM.
oh, so moved.
I'll second that.
Everybody agrees? Aye.
Aye.
Nay? No. Okay, motion passed to try to set that up. Okay, perfect. Okay, zoning administrator report.
I do not right now. Just been working on the ordinances. Zoning permits have kind of slowed down a little bit for right now. We've been, yeah. Just working on some larger projects. I did have a site plan review application submit that I denied. Oh, it's incomplete.
Okay.
I'm not ever going to bring something before you that is not complete. So once it gets resubmitted, then we'll go from there. Working on some new processes for Blake, Gary, Gruss, and Justin Rome will be taking that over. I will just kind of be supervising. Just because the workload with zoning has been so much, and I don't have full time to be able to designate to you guys, and you need more help than what I'm able to provide. So I think that will end up going well. Gary seems very enthusiastic about it. We have a meeting next Wednesday, so I'll have more after that. And that's
Oh,
about it.
When you do a zoning report, you put your address and what the zoning permit was
Absolutely.
for and how much it was for.
Yep, I haven't had. I don't think I've had any since the last report that I gave to you, so.
Oh, second, someone said there's pole lines going up all over.
But maybe they already
Don't
have
even
a,
go pole lines there. Are there a lot of pole lines going up? Have there been?
I'm not seeing a whole lot of pole barns going on.
Oh, okay,
Um,
maybe just bad information.
Well, somebody could see, two and think, oh my gosh, they're going up everywhere.
Well, and it could be that they, without more specific information, it could be that they already had permits and
Mhm.
they now have their supplies,
Weather's
so now
nice.
they're building, correct. So that I'm not sure, but I haven't seen,
So if you put in a brick patio and just lay some bricks right on the sand, that's not anything permittable, is it?
putting bricks in
Like a
sand.
walkway.
Yeah, a brick
Putting it in a
patio, making your own brick patio.
You don't have to have a permit for that.
I don't think so.
Good.
So if it was concrete, you would.
Now, going forward, I do believe I put in here yard encroachments. So going forward, that may change. Just because,
Oh, wouldn't apply in my case. I'm not anywhere near anyone's yard
well,
or property line.
but again, worst case scenario, you have someone on a lake
Oh.
and they have actual beach sand that
Right.
now they're trying to put bricks or wood or
Yeah.
coarse material. So now you
Yeah.
have to involve soil and erosion and
And it's not because of the DNR, it's an Eagle now.
eagle.
Eagle.
So,
Yeah, I wish hopefully they'll do their job when there's.
Well, we can only do ours, right?
Of course, if we get the health department to do their first jobs. Would help.
So we can go on to the ZBA representative who is not here.
there hasn't been anything
Yeah.
since,
Okay. Okay, and then the township board member report. Do you have any other report? Okay. All right, any public comments? All right, do I have to do a motion? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Oh, I'll make that motion.
Okay.
for adjournment.
I'll support.
All right, and all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned at 8:49 PM. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
So Beth, that camper person, the one on 52nd, the one who's been there